Time for the last season preview for the 2016 season. You're watching the MJ Take on Sports Fan Entertainment. Welcome to the MJ Take on Sports Fan Entertainment. 32 teams, 32 days, and today we're talking about the New Orleans Saints, the final video for this 2016 32 teams and 32 days season previews, and it's been a fun one. It's been a good one. The Saints were supposed to be second to last, but if you didn't catch my comment yesterday, the video file corrupted, and I had to wait until today to record and re-upload that. But hey, I did it anyway. Here we are. We're here to talk about the New Orleans Saints, and this is a team that I can't believe is not getting more credit out there in the media, out there in the fans, and the NFL fan base, and the experts and everybody in terms of being a potential playoff team. Guys, the Saints are pretty good, right? I'm telling you guys right now, this is a very dangerous team heading into this season, and we need to give them some more credit. We're about to look at this team, look at their strengths, look at their weaknesses, look at their schedule, give you a win-loss prediction, and then we will get out of here. Let's start with their strengths, and let's start at the quarterback position. Drew Brees. The guy is absolutely phenomenal. Some people believe that he's not as good as he used to be. I mean, maybe some part of that is true, but let me tell you this. Guy's still a top 6 or 7 quarterback in the NFL. Hell, I'll even say top 5. The guy is still really, really good. Continues to be great, consistent. People say his arm strength is dwindling. I don't know what they're watching, because I still think it's pretty freaking good. Guy threw for 4,800 yards last season. You don't do that when you're getting worse, okay? I mean, the guy is still pretty freaking good. And then beyond him, the wide receivers, okay, I think they're going to be really good. Willie Snead, let's start with him. He's not the number one, but I'm excited to talk about Willie Snead, because this is a guy that, I mean, who is this guy, right? I mean, no one expected him to put up the big numbers he put up last year. You know, a guy that's really quiet, didn't know much about him, but he really showed out. I'm a big Willie Snead fan. Brandin Cooks, who is the number one wide receiver, 1,100 yards last season. Some believe that this year he's going to get to 12, 13, 14, 1,500. I'd say hold on. I think it's going to be another 1,100 yard season, but hey, there's nothing wrong with that. And then you drafted Michael Thomas out of Ohio State. Great draft pick. The guy was a late first rounder. You got him in the mid-second. That's a great draft pick. He's going to be a great weapon for Drew Brees and the quarterbacks of the future, because this guy will be around for a long time. And you still have Brandon Coleman as well. Great receiving core. I mean, it is absolutely great. I love how they've rebuilt this position. You know, after Marcus Colston's, you know, he's getting older and all of that, and Robert Meacham and all of that. You wondered how they were going to rebuild this position. They've done it quite well. The Saints are absolutely set at the wide receiver position right now. We move on to the offensive line, because this is yet another strength for this football team. Teron Armstead on the left tackle side. I mean, the guy's really good. One of the top left tackles in the league. No doubt about him for me. Left guard, Tim Lelito. Again, one of the better guards in the league, I think. One of the more underrated guards. Center, Max Unger. You traded Jimmy Graham for him, and he showed you why. Because he gave you a lot in terms of the run game, run blocking. Helped Mark Ingram out a lot last season. I expect more of the same. Right guard, Andres Pete. The guy struggled last year, but I think that's just the case for a lot, if not every single tackle transitioning into the NFL the past couple years. I mean, this is the most difficult position to transition lately. I mean, it's not even close. Quarterback, it is tackle. And these tackles have been taking a while to transition. We're talking about Luke Joeckel, Eric Fisher, Jake Matthews, Greg Robinson, Taylor Lewan. They're all taking time to transition in the NFL. It's not working right off the bat, so I still have faith in Andres Pete, but he needs to show me a little more. Okay, he needs to show me a little more, but I think this right guard position might be pretty good for him, because he's better off as a run blocker right now, which is surprising, because at Stanford he was more of a pass blocker. But hey, I will take what we can get. Right tackle, Zach Strief, one of the better right tackles in the league, and this forms a really good offensive line. A really good offensive line that can pass protect and run block. Great offensive line. Now let's talk about the positions that are neither strengths nor weaknesses, but are pretty good. The tight end position. Now this one, I wouldn't even call it pretty good. I'd just say it's okay. Okay, Coby Fleener, I think he's a downgrade from Benjamin Watson. I don't think he's going to give you the production Benjamin Watson gave you last year. I think Benjamin Watson, really, it was unexpected, but he got about like 800 yards. I think he's a better catcher. I think he's definitely a better run blocker. Definitely a better guy in terms of understanding the system, being a veteran. Coby Fleener can be a little bit of a clown, a little bit of a nuisance. Honestly, he can. He's not going to be bad, right? He's going to get 600, maybe 700 yards, but I think it's a little bit of a downgrade. You still have Josh Hill and Michael Ho'omanawanui. You know, the guy, they're backup tight ends, right? They're not a big factor. No one is game planning for Michael Ho'omanawanui. Okay, so you just have to look out for that. The tight ends, okay, but not great. Okay. Running backs. You know, again, I'm not a big fan of the running backs. You know, I get this is the New Orleans Saints way. They don't need a bell cow. They just need a bunch of guys. You know, Mark Ingram's a guy. Tim Hightower's a guy. But, you know, I like seeing bell cows. I think bell cows help you, especially when it comes to being in the playoffs, having a guy that you can give the ball 20 to 25 times a game, having them run for 120 yards in a playoff game. You don't have that type of guy. And Mark Ingram has looked better, but he's still not that guy. You know, he's still not challenging for 1,000 yards, especially he's not going to get it. You know, maybe if things really bounce his way, he's going to get it, but, you know, he's not going to get it. CJ Spiller, you know, nice receiving back, but I think that they're fine, right? I'm not saying that they're bad, but they're not good enough to be called a strength, okay? They're just not, right? Let's move on to the defense. And I think the secondary is actually okay. I think the secondary will be improved this season if they can stay healthy. Let's start with the safeties. Okay, Jairus Byrd, he's the big one that needs to stay healthy. He has not been able to stay healthy ever since he put on this damn Saints uniform. I don't know what's going on with him. Ever since he put on this Saints uniform, it's been injuries upon injuries upon injuries. Even in Buffalo, he had some injuries as well, but it's gotten bad. He needs to stay healthy, and he's getting old, especially with these injuries and age, man. I'm not buying the Jairus Byrd stock at all. But you drafted Von Bell out of Ohio State, and I actually like Von Bell quite a bit. So hopefully you can steal some snaps from Jairus Byrd, because this is your hope at the free safety position. And then you have Kenny Vaccaro, who had a nice 2015 season after a poor 2014 season. Nice to see him bounce back. I expected this from you, Kenny Vaccaro, and you came through and delivered good. Cornerbacks. Delvin Breaux. Who? That's what we were saying before 2015, but after 2015, oh, we know who this guy is. This guy played absolutely tremendous last season for the New Orleans Saints, won their defensive MVP award on their official website, and I thought he deserved it. I thought he was a better player for them than even Cameron Jordan. Oh, I know that is so sacrilegious to say, but I'm saying it because Delvin Breaux was really good last year. Now, next to him, P.J. Williams. Okay, we just don't know much about P.J. Williams. But I'll say this. I'm encouraged because this is a guy that started opposite of Ronald Darby in college for Florida State. And Ronald Darby wasn't that much better than P.J. Williams. Okay, he was better, but not that much better. So maybe this is yet another cornerback sleeper here that you guys have. He's looked good in training camp. Now in preseason, he's been up and down because he got his ass ripped apart by Will Fuller, especially on that touchdown pass. It was pretty bad. But beyond that, he was fine. Okay, so we'll see when it comes to P.J. Williams. You signed Cortland Finnegan but from the Carolina Panthers. You know, the guy's old, and I thought he played okay for the Panthers last year, but that's an aberration. He was awful for the Rams. He was awful for the Dolphins. He's not going to be good for you. Just get over it. You got rid of Brandon Browner, okay, and that's a W right there for you. You know, but the cornerbacks, they don't have much depth, but I'm encouraged, okay? I'm encouraged enough to say that this is not a weakness, but with that said, let's get into the weaknesses, and for me, it's the front seven. Okay, I don't like the front seven. I think 2 out of the front 7 are good. The rest, there's issues. Let's start with the defensive line. So the 2 I was talking about are on the defensive line. You have Cameron Jordan, who is great. Okay, the guy is great. And then Nick Fairley, who keeps bouncing around the league. You know, Lions, Rams, and then now the Saints. I don't know why no one wants to sign him to a long-term deal, but whatever, that's fine. Nick Fairley's good. Cameron Jordan's good. Now, beyond them, there's nothing, okay? The other defensive tackle position, Sheldon Rankins right now, broke his fibula, out for 6 to 8 weeks. That hurts a lot. And he needed a training camp and a preseason to really develop. He doesn't have that now. I'm not expecting him to do much this year. You also have Tyler Davison. Who cares? John Jenkins. We know what we're going to get from him. It's not going to be very much. You lost Akeem Hicks. That hurts. All right, and then you also your defensive end position, Edebali. The guy had 5 sacks last year. That's okay, but he's a rotational guy. You don't want to start this guy, and then they have nothing behind him. They really should have invested in a pass rusher in the draft, in free agency. They didn't do it. It's gonna hurt this pass rush so much. They only had 31 or 32 sacks last year. They're gonna have more than that this year. They're gonna have less, I even think, because Haoi Kikaha is out with a torn ACL. Let's get into the linebackers. Again, Kikaha's out for the season. That hurts. Stephone Anthony, the guy has some nice tackles, racked up some tackles, but man, he missed some tackles. He's also a guy that didn't make many plays, got fooled by play action constantly. Needs to get better in terms of what he's seeing on the football field. And I think that he will, but right now, I don't think Stephone Anthony is very good. Middle linebacker, James Laurinaitis. Okay, guy's getting old, and, the Rams got rid of him because he's not very good anymore. The guy hasn't been starting for the Rams for really a couple of years. I mean, he hasn't been playing a majority of snaps. He's just been a guy out there, hasn't been making plays. Your only hope when it comes to him is that hopefully he can teach, Stephone Anthony a thing or two and get him ready and get him better, but on his own right, he's not going to be very good. And then Danielle Ellerbe, formerly of the Baltimore Ravens, the guy's been a bust for the Baltimore Ravens. The guy's done ever since he left the Ravens, he's been a bust. For the Ravens, he was pretty good. But for the Dolphins, he was horrible. You're hoping that he'll be good for you, and that's a wrong hope to have. He's just not going to be good. But with that said, let's get into your schedule, right? And again, I like the Saints team. I don't love them. I think that there are issues, like I said, with the front seven, but I think this is a team that is probably going to mess me up, because right now I have the Chicago Bears making the playoffs, right? That is my bold prediction. I have them going 10-6 and making the playoffs. The team that I was right close to putting instead of the Chicago Bears being my bold prediction of the year was New Orleans Saints. But then once Sheldon Rankins got hurt, and then once I saw some things that I didn't really like out of training camp, I had to bring the Bears up above them. But let me tell you this, man, it would not surprise me at all if the Saints really made the playoffs this year. So this year, the schedule is harder, okay? And that's one of the reasons why, again, I couldn't put you guys in the playoffs. Last year, you guys got to face the AFC South, and I also think the NFC East. Correct me if I'm wrong on that. That hurts, because this year you don't get to go up against those guys, and then this year you get to go up against the AFC West. Okay, let's start there. You host the Oakland Raiders in week 1. I think that's a win, actually. Okay, the Raiders are pretty good, so you have to look out, but I think you guys can definitely win this game. Week 4 at San Diego. You should lose this game. Honestly, you should. I think San Diego's right there with you. I think they have the same strengths. They have good quarterback, good wide receivers, poor front seven. It's the same team. So going to San Diego, can't do it. At Kansas City in week 7, again, I think that's a loss. And then hosting Denver in week 10, actually, I think this is a loss. I think Denver is going to challenge you. I think they're really going to stifle your offense. They have the perfect fit. They get a pass rush on you. They're going to be able to bottle down your wide receivers. It's going to be a low-scoring contest, but I don't think your defense will be able to stop Demaryius Thomas, be able to stop Emmanuel Sanders and this offense. It's not going to be a very good Broncos offense, but I think it's going to be good enough to beat you even in New Orleans. Okay, so I think that's 1-3. Okay, we move on from that. Let's look at the NFC South. Okay, you're in the NFC South. Let's look at that. So I think it's 3-3. That's the safe prediction. That's the prediction I'm making. I think you split with every team in the NFC South. I think you split with the Panthers. You should have beat them last year at least once. You didn't. This year I say you do. I think you guys split with the Bucks. I think you guys split with the Falcons. 3-3 in the NFC South. Let's move on to the NFC West. Okay, so week 8, you guys host the Seattle Seahawks. I think you guys actually win this game. I don't know. The Seahawks lose a lot of these games on the road, and I think in New Orleans you should get this W. At San Francisco. San Francisco stinks. You should win this game at San Francisco. Hosting the LA Rams in week 12. You guys should win this game because I think the Rams quite honestly stink, and you should be able to beat them in New Orleans. They won't be able to keep up with your offense, but please bottle down and keep Todd Gurley down, because if not, he will run all over you. And then in week what am I looking for? Well, week 15, there it is. You guys go to Arizona. Honestly, I think this is another loss. Okay, so what is that? I think that's actually 3-1 though against the NFC West. So hey, congratulations for that. 500 right now, and then you guys have to go up against the teams that finished concurrently with you in the NFC. This means the New York Giants in week 2, and this means the Detroit Lions in week 13. You go to the Giants and you host the Lions. Let's say you lose to the Giants and you beat the Lions, but it could be reversed. It could be the flip, but I like a split there. I really feel it's going to be a split there between the Giants and the Lions. So what does this mean? It means 8-8, right? But again, I think the Saints are very, very dangerous this season, and best case scenario, I think it could even be as high as 11-5. I think if their offense could really get rolling and their defense can just be, pretty bad, but not too bad. Like, instead of being, near the worst of the league, but be ranked like 24th or 23rd or 22nd, then we could be really looking at a playoff team here that wins 11 games, and they're once again, a number 3 seed. They could, beat Carolina for the division, be a number 3 seed in the NFC, and make some noise, right? I think that's actually very, very, very possible. And then the worst case scenario was 7-9, right? You're going to be at least last year's record, okay, and the year before that also. I mean, you're at least going to be that. I mean, why would you be worse? Unless if Drew Brees, his arm falls off of a cliff. I'm not projecting that. I think it's at least 7-9, but my prediction is a calm 8-8 with upside for more. Definite, clear upside for more. So there you go. There's my New Orleans Saints 2016 season preview. What do you think about the upcoming Saints season? Comment down below. If you enjoyed the video, make sure to like and most importantly to subscribe for more videos. And with that said, this ends the 2016 32 teams, the 32 days series. This has been the MJ Take on Sports Fan Entertainment, and I'm out.